I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hey, hello and welcome. I'm back, but I'm not alone. I have a wonderful group of individuals. We're going to talk about things about getting ready to celebrate National Bosses Day today, October 16th. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited about it. And if you're watching us live, hey, thanks for being here live. Really appreciate it. And if you aren't able to be here because your boss won't let you be here, bosses got responsibilities. We're going to learn about that today. If you're watching on that replay, hashtag replay, let us know where you're watching it from. If you've got a question or two or some insight that you would like to share, please do. And subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this out with your community, because you never know when something you're going to hear on today's show or a future show is going to have an impact on somebody's life around the globe. How do I know that? Because I get quite a bit of feedback over time. And things our guests are saying, the nuggets that we're sharing are making an impact. As we say in the focal point world, we're a pebble in the pond. So speaking of focal point, let me go and do a shameless plug. I have no shame. I'm going to plug what I do. Well, if I had more time, I'd play that tune over again. I think I quite like it. It's a new one. We picked it out because, we needed to change for a whole bunch of different reasons. But as it says, if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, and would like to know where you're at, would like to take advantage of the complimentary business growth score, go to my website, coachphil.ca, and at the top corner, it's the button that says business growth score. It's a complimentary assessment. You may find you do the assessment and you're right where you want to be and nothing to change. Pat yourself on the back and carry on doing what you're doing. However, if you're somebody who says, there's an area here I'd like to improve, if you're watching it on the show, it's complimentary. 30 minutes coaching session with myself. And if I don't have the right answer for you, I am connected to a whole group of people around the globe. I'm sure one of us could be able to help you address the concern that you have. And again, it's complimentary. I'm going to now bring up the panel, not in any particular order, just in order. And I'm excited because we're going to be talking with leaders, bosses, people who've had bosses. And we're going to talk about it today because in the United States of America, they have this thing called National Bosses Day, and we're celebrating it with them. Whether you're Canadian, American, or otherwise, here we are, bringing them up one at a time. I'll get them to introduce themselves once we get everybody here, so I don't play favoritism because they're all awesome. And there's somebody else hiding at the bottom of the screen. If I could just bring him up. Hang on. There we go. Are we all here? There we are. Hey, welcome. Thank you for taking time to be here and share your boss stories. Mickey, you're my co-host on the panel. It was all your fault in a positive way that we actually have a panel. And the panel approach on a monthly basis. So tell us who you is and where you're at and what you do.
Oh, well, okay. Well, my name is Mickey Mycorth, and I am a math geek. And it looks like my computer is jamming for some reason.
That's a good song. We're jamming. We're jamming.
We're jamming.
Sorry.
We're jamming. So I may jump out and jump back in to see what's the holdup here.
Okay. Well, go over to Connie then.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody.
Well, thank you. So, Phil, yes, I feel like jamming. My name is Connie Kadansky. I work with people to overcome the hesitation to prospect and promote. My tagline is I help people get their ask in gear. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here because I like hearing about getting our ask in gear. It's important. Colin, you're on my next up.
My name is Colin, and I, like Phil, am working as a business coach, and I help entrepreneurs and executives fix their biggest problems.
Awesome. Chris, you're next up on my screen.
Oh, well, welcome everybody. My name is Chris Deacle, and I am a focal point coach and area developer, which means I have coaches that are in my territory. And we help entrepreneurs and small businesses fix the problems that hold them back, the roadblocks that keep them from moving forward fast. I'm delighted to be here, and you're a great bunch of people. Can't wait.
Oh, we lost him. What happened? Come back, Chris. I'll let you in. And my newest friend is Sharon.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sharon Forster. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for the largest IT staffing company in Canada. It's called SI Systems. We have now acquired a U.S. Staffing company, and we've branched into the U.S. as well and hoping to grow that market. We have offices, 23 branches across Canada, from Vancouver to Montreal, and in Houston, Minneapolis, and Dallas, and Chicago. Sorry, I'm getting my geography mixed up. So, and I have a small team of 6 employees who work for me, and I've worked in groups of as an HR team with a team of up to 75 employees. In a larger organization, we have about 350 employees in our company right now. And I'm excited to be here to share some of what I know about being a great boss and working for great bosses.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're all here. It's great to be sharing a moment of time with you and everybody that's listening and watching this today, live or later on. We'll let you know it's there forever on the internet. And I like your comment, Sharon. We are a pebble in the pond. We are in this pond together today, and we're all little pebbles or big pebbles, whatever size you are. And one of the pebbles has disappeared, but I'm going to bring him back in as soon as I can. I don't know what happened to Chris. Oh, I think he's coming back now. So, yeah. What's your favorite thing about a boss you've had in your experience? Anybody? That's an open forum question. Just chime in.
Well, I'll start. So, and I was going to court reporting school, so I applied for a job to work at an attorney's office. And I interviewed, and I was all excited. And the attorney, Ralph Blake, he called me a few days later. He said, Connie, I'm going to offer you this job. And I go, oh, great. And he goes, do you want to know why? I said, no. He said, you're the least qualified person. You were the only one that told me you wanted the job, and the job is yours. And I just learned so much for that. And so going back to my tagline, get your ask in gear. And I asked for the job. I got the job, and it was paramount in my career.
Wow. Got to ask, get your ask in gear. Love it. I love it. Who else would like to chime in and talk about that same question?
When I got out of college, I went to work for a bank, which was.
Hang on, Chris. Got to turn you up. Can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yeah. Yeah. How about now?
Lean forward.
Better?
Yeah. I mean, I'm about eating the mic now.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fairly tasty if you put licorice on it. But I had a really great experience with a boss who was never a boss. He never told you to do anything, and I learned a great deal from the emotional side of dealing with people, from a human perspective, not as pieces of a machine that you move around.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Chris. Hey, Chris, throw the dice, the imaginary dice, to whoever hasn't gone yet.
What are you asking me to do, Phil?
Oh, sorry. I didn't give you guys the rules of engagement. I was going to use the throwing an imaginary dice to who you would like to go next. But since I put you on the spot, Mickey, welcome back. You're next. We're talking about an experience you had, a favorable experience that you had with a boss. That could be your first one.
I will tell you that my favorite boss is somebody who paid attention and who showed up as themselves every day. And I think that's the best part any boss can be, is somebody who is energetically and emotionally present every day.
Mm.
So yes, I had a wonderful boss named Richard, and I had another boss named Roy. And Roy and I went into business for 18 years together. So I guess he was a great boss.
Yeah, very cool.
I'm going to take the dice from you, Mickey. And I would say one of my most favorite bosses was curious. And it was having a trait of curiosity is really important, I think, in a boss. This boss, instead of telling us what to do or what he wanted from us, he'd say, "What do you think about this? And let's have a moment and just do some brainstorming. And then when we've completed our brainstorming, okay, what actions are you planning on taking here?" And then he would feed in little cues of, "Oh, well, have you thought of this?" But he would always ask it as a question, as opposed to saying, "Well, you should do this and you must do this." And so they felt like my ideas, even when maybe they weren't. So being curious as a boss, I think, is really important. And I pass the dice to Colin.
I had a boss who taught me the distinction between being a manager and a leader. And there's little aspects of or qualities or attributes that he had that I think everybody's mentioned here. He had leadership books on his bookshelf, and he actively read about the industry, and he was fantastic in front of groups of people. So again, I was looking at him and thinking about, it was the first time it ever occurred to me that I'd been a manager, but I hadn't been a leader. So I started my process of learning, which has been a lifelong fascination.
Well, that's awesome. You guys are all amazing. And I'd chime in with my own experience, which is not work related. So kind of not really a boss, but kind of was. He was a hockey coach. And the Pygmalion theory I learned about later on in life is what he saw me as something bigger and better and brighter than I saw myself, and elevated me to a way of thinking about me in a positive sort of way. And I've never forgotten that. So what I attempt to do with everybody I get to work with is to help see themselves in their best light. So that was one of the things that I've had lots of bosses, as many as you have, but that's the one that sticks early on in life. It was really foundational for me.
Well, and I think that being a good boss is actually a combination. What I'm getting from everyone here is that it isn't one thing that makes a great boss. It really is this combination of details that are executed well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that idea. It isn't just one thing, and it's not ever just one thing, I don't think.
Like that.
Yeah, I like the idea that they bring the best out of us. I guess that's kind of what I said in the beginning. I'm repetitive, aren't I?
Well, and when I think of it as a combination, I think that's also what makes each of us a different boss for a different situation, right? So I think that's one of the things that I'd love to hear from our guests is what's the combination of you that you really like in your own leadership?
Oh, great question.
Phil, I'll start with you. You've got a great combo.
Yeah. I love how she sticks me first. Well, I think that's one of the things I like about leaders is people, and again, it goes back to what I said earlier, but it's nudging, not pushing, but nudging people to jump in and do something and take a challenge on, even if they're not qualified, at least in their own mind. I think that's huge for me. So I think that's good to encourage people to take on more than what they've ever done before. I think that was the question you asked, right? I was busy noodling.
Yeah. What's the combination that makes you the right boss at the right time?
Well, I'm not the right boss all the time. However, what's unique about me is I do things. I know it aggravates some people, but I'm not going to not be me. I'm going to show up. There's 3 words I really strive to live by. One of my mentors along the way that instilled in me, and that is to be authentic, progressive, and effective. And if I can show up like that, then I expect other people to be able to do the same thing, because I'm not just talking it, I'm actually walking the talk. And add one other thing in there. I really appreciate a sense of humor, not a stand-up comic sense of humor, but situational improv humor, where humor makes learning easier, makes the task of doing things less stressful. I guess those would be the four things. Those 3 words and humor. So I guess it's 4 words. I love improv.
And what are they again? Authentic?
Progressive, effective with humor.
Yes,
Authentic, progressive, effective.
Right.
So when I'm showing up like that, life is pretty good. Am I like that all the time? No, I'm not. I have that human element. So I'm going to throw the dice to Connie.
Well, it's so fascinating when I think about boss. And one of the bosses that I worked for, another attorney, I mean, he was famous. He had a Learjet, part owner of a sports team, and he was generous. And if he heard that somebody was doing something in their personal life, he would always come through or send flowers or just always being very generous. And he was a tough boss. He meant business, and we all just, he pulled us to a higher level of, and what Mickey was saying is, I can do this. I can do this without knowing I can do it. And so I think that there's an inner, they really have to like people and enjoy what they're doing. The more they enjoy what they're doing, the more they inspire, even if there are tough decisions to make. And I think a good boss is also good at making a decision and not trying to get consensus all the time, but they're the ultimate decision maker. And I think that's important.
And Connie, what is your combination? What's the magic in your flavor?
Well, I have a tendency to be a little too bossy and commanding. I mean, on my Gallup strengths, that's one of the ones that is right there. So I have to be careful to manage that and keep the cadence of task and process versus people and relationship. So I'm a work in progress, and I enjoy people. And I am also a big advocate of the Gallup strengths. And so when I know the strengths of people, I can bring that forward. So the more I focus on that, the better leader I become.
And on that, Bill, we've got an incoming call. No, apparently not.
Well, and I'll throw the dice to Sharon.
Thank you, Connie. I loved what you said about when you know your people and when they know themselves, you can help to bring out the best, because everybody is different and we have to recognize that we're all different. But a couple of things that I do in my leadership, I have a daily huddle every single day with my team. And we start our day with this huddle. And the first thing we do is breathe. And a different one of my team manages the huddle each week. So you have a week at a time and we rotate through. But so that person brings a breathing exercise, and it's 4 deep breaths. It could be box breathing. It could be, hug breathing, any kind of breathing. But the point is to bring ourselves back into our bodies, to bring ourselves present to this moment. And then we turn to gratitude. What are we grateful for? And the person who's leading says the theme. It's usually a theme for the week. So right now, because it was just Thanksgiving in Canada, it's what are you thankful for about the autumn and Thanksgiving? And what does it mean for you? And it might be family, it might be time off, it might be the beautiful colors. But gratitude, when we can have gratitude in our hearts, we also have gratitude for each other. And often we'll do sessions where we just do gratitude to one person. We just shoot gratitude at that one person about what we're so grateful for them in what they contribute to work and in their life and to us. So that's the first, and that takes 5 minutes, literally 10 minutes maybe. And then we move into priorities. What is your number one priority for the day that you're committing to get done? So accountability is an important aspect of my leadership. And in that team huddle, we do that every day. And at the end of priority setting, we then say, any questions? And it's 25 to 30 minutes for this huddle every day. And it's an opportunity for people to ask growth questions or detailed questions or inform each other of something that's going on that we feel the whole team needs to know. So that's one aspect of what I do. But another aspect of my leadership that I feel is really important, Susan Scott's book, Radical Candor, is being really radical in the candor. So bringing heart to really transparent feedback when it's necessary, and really sitting with that person and helping them to grow, because that's the whole point. We want to get the best out of our people so they can contribute the best. So those are a few things that I would say are important for me, being generous with my time and supportive of each individual as an individual with their growth.
Sharon, I don't know if there's any jobs at your office. I'm going to apply. Oh, wait, I don't have any IT experience. But if I did, I would.
I don't either. I'm not an IT professional at all. I'm an HR person.
So anyway, those are a lot of traits that I'm envious of. Sort of, kind of. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Mickey would like to know, what is Gallup? Gallup.
Oh, so Gallup has done work throughout the years, and they pinpointed 34 strengths, 34 themes, and you can take the assessment for $9.95, and it's the Clifton strengths, and it's that innate strength, that innate theme within people. And wow, is it informative? And every strength has an edge and a challenge. And so to be very aware of that, and just like Sharon said, it helps people be aware of themselves and also aware of other people on the team. And that's the new method that I'm using in my coaching, and I'm a team coach, and it makes all the difference in the world to elicit, instead of problem solving, inspire solutions. And that's a pretty cool thing to do.
Very cool. Thanks for that insight. Sharon, who you're throwing the dice to?
Oh, I get to throw the dice. I'm going to throw it to Chris.
Yeah, interesting. I've built a pretty big business, and I think a lot of people that came before me that taught me a great deal about what not to do, and a few people that taught me what to do. In fact, I really think, in some respects, National Bosses Day probably should be on Halloween, but that's another story. So, what I found really worked with my business, and I had 56 people working for me in my company, was that I picked the right people. I gave them very clear guidance on what we needed to accomplish, and then I got the heck out of the way and became a problem solver to clear out the problems they had. And what you find is, if you believe in people, they will rise to your expectations 95% of the time or more, and do way better than you ever could. And you don't manage. You're just pointing you're like a captain. Take that heading. And then, leave it up to everybody else to get the boat there. So, that to me is really, a key. Is this thing is all about people. That's the only thing that makes a business work. It's not the machinery. It's not your computer. It's not your financial people. Yeah, they're all important. But if you take the people out of it, I don't care what you've got, you won't go anywhere. So it's all about the people and how well you manage and lead them. So if things are not working, look to your management style, not to their problems.
No, so what I think I want to ask that question. I don't do that kind of coaching question anymore. So smart enough, Phil. So it sounds like you are really saying without the people, there's nothing else. It's kind of like Sir Richard Branson says. They're one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of your business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Try and make a business run without people.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, right? Like you said, it's not the computer. Because even the computers don't work yet by themselves. Somebody has to turn them on.
Chris, I love your sense of humor. So that goes to what Phil was talking about. Just have that fun sense of humor.
I mean, the world is a fascinatingly conflicted place, and it needs some mirth to loosen it up.
Yeah. So you brought the topic up of people. I'm going to ask, what do you do to celebrate the greatness of your people and help them live into their potential? What sort of I don't want to put. What do you do? What do you do to elevate people, to recognize them? Let's put it that way. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I did it all the time. You know, I never. I had an open door policy. Anybody from anywhere could walk in anytime, and was glad to talk to them. And when you treat them like people, and you say, "Hey, great job," generally, I can't believe what you did. It is incredible. It's that constant feedback that you're doing a great job. And if something goes haywire, I said, "Hey, it's like nothing is perfect. Things will go wrong." And it's how you talk to them about it. Say, well, what do we learn from this? Okay, well, we won't make that. We won't make that mistake again. Not you won't, but we won't. And when you when you desensitize people to problems and you give them encouragement, I mean that encouragement factor is huge. So yeah, I mean this thing. I mean managing the people, is. I mean, I started out the other end of the spectrum I got an MBA and thought that a spreadsheet would handle the world. But, I learned that it's the people that make the spreadsheets any good. So you better take good care of them. And that's all about treating people like people. It's not hard. Just be human.
What I like about what you're saying is a lot. But one of the things you bring up, I was just talking about this again this morning earlier. And that is no one cares about you until they know how much you care about them. And once they know about what you're doing, they will walk over, I don't know, metaphorically, maybe in reality, they'll walk over burning coals or broken glass in bare feet. Mm-hmm. Now you can't see it. I've got to put it in front of my face. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
There we go. Yes,
there we
perfect.
Go. I'm making up for where I'm at. My backdrop in reality is not very good. It's all good. So yeah. So what else? What else do you guys do in addition to what we've heard Chris say?
Right, Colin, give us your magic.
Some magic. I remember learning an idea, a concept of how you take a team from goalpost to goalpost. So it was this idea of get the people, decide the journey, build the disciplines, be brutally honest about performance, and celebrate success. So it was this idea of a journey that you have with the team, and you take them along this pathway to success. And number 4, I think, was kind of interesting to me, this being brutally honest about performance. And a couple of the writers that we've talked about, in fact, Susan Scott in particular, talks about transparency in leadership and having difficult conversations. And, Patrick Lencioni will tell us that teams that manage conflict very well are the ones that are the least dysfunctional and the most effective. So that's a little bit of the magic that I think I can bring today for a Monday morning.
It's pretty cool. I like the magic.
Well, and I want to bring up that everyone here has brought up something that's related to a book that our audience can really enjoy. So we have a private chat. So for those of you who are watching, and you see us like typing, that's our private chat, and we're talking about the things that we would like to recommend to you. So Sharon, you're where I caught it. Great book, great leadership tool as a boss. You want to talk about what that is?
Actually, I think I got the the author wrong, and Colin mentioned
no
the other author.
No one can see the private chat. No one sees the private chat. You get. I
know, but that's great because both are great authors. Susan Scott and Kim Scott both wrote amazing books. Susan Scott says Difficult Conversations. Thanks, Colin. Love that book, and it is about transparency and authenticity, and it's a great book to use both personally and within a business environment. I always love that. And then Kim Scott, Radical Candor, really talks about bringing heart to difficult conversations and making sure that you're not being just brutally honest, but being honest with positive intent. And when you have positive intent, people will listen and actually hear the feedback that is coming to them. So both are great resources. And I love Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if you can see back on my bookshelf. I think I have all of his books back there too. So there's some great resources out there for leaders.
And Connie, you had another ad on the Gallup with an author name for our audience.
Yes, so it's the Clifton Strengths. Well, Gallup, what is it? I have it right here. Strengths from Gallup. Discover Your Strengths by Don Clifton. And you can do gallup.com and take that assessment and learn and just go deep into it and bring forward your strengths in every conversation. And wow, I think that's something that can help the world go around better. So I've got to jump. So thank you. I learned a lot.
Back at you. Thanks for popping in and fitting us in. You're a busy lady and an awesome one as well.
Thanks.
And Colin, you had another book that you were recommending, and I actually think you have a couple.
Yeah, the Strengths Finder. Don Clifton apparently is the father of strength psychology and the inventor of the Clifton Strengths Finder. Strengths Finder 2.0 was written by Tom Rath, and it is from Gallup. And as Connie mentioned, you can sign up and take a survey. From a HR standpoint, it's a wonderful tool. And so maybe you've got that already, Sharon.
Yeah.
So that's a great book. And then Susan Scott, I believe, wrote a book called, I want to say it's Difficult Conversations, but I think I've got that wrong a little bit. I'd have to search for that.
Her books. I love this.
I have a question. I'm going to pivot. What advice would you offer up to somebody that was contemplating being a boss? Anybody. It's open forum.
Yeah, my first recommendation would be to hire a coach that knows how to teach you how to manage.
I like that.
And lead.
I mean, until I got into this, profession, I didn't realize all of the things you could learn so quickly and so well in so little time and effort as you would with a coach. Why try to fumble your way through it and learn? Our analogy would be, why get on the gridiron and play with against a pro team if you don't know anything about football? I mean, you get killed. So go learn from somebody, for God's sakes. Don't make it up as you go. You won't like the results, but you can read books, but they take a lot of time and you don't absorb it. But a coach and their programs can teach it to you. And that is probably one of the biggest takeaways I'd give anybody is, find anybody that's got a reasonably good program and take it. It'll get you started and make you a heck of a lot better boss.
I just got back from LA I'm losing track now, 4 weeks ago. And I went down there to hang out with a coach and a group of people. And I've read his book. I watched his audios and videos. I think what he teaches is amazing, but man, being there in the presence of the energy of the coach himself, it's elevated me to another level that I'd never thought I'd get to, but I got there faster than what I was anticipating just by hanging out for 3 days. Yeah. About things I already knew from a book and actually applying, but hanging out with him and like-minded people just elevated everything. So getting the right coach can increase your effectiveness, reduce the stress, and one of my favorite things, have fun along the way. So I love that idea, Chris. Thanks for that.
Can I just riff off of that?
Yes, please.
Chris and Phil. So I also have been a business coach and an executive coach, and I've moved back in and out of coaching to be in HR, being a practitioner. And I think your advice is 100% bang on. And the reason is, for example, we go to school for 20 years, I don't know, however many it took me to be, get my degrees and go into the workforce. Then all of a sudden you're in the workforce and it stops. You're out there and expected to know everything. But if you're on a baseball team or a basketball team or on a ski team or a tennis team, whatever you're on, you're getting coached. But we don't coach people in work, in the environment of a business setting. And if your manager's not a coach, where are you going to get it? And then if you become a manager, no one teaches you how to be a manager. They just expect you to be one. And then it's really, actually, we don't want you to be a manager. We want you to be a leader. Well, how do you get to be a leader unless you have really good mentors to work with? And most of us didn't have good mentors, so we had to go find them. And having a coach externally, I recommend having coaches at all levels of the organization, different coaches at different times based on the needs that you have in the moment. But as you get more and more senior in an organization, you absolutely need to have a coach, to keep your feet on the ground, to remind you of what it is to be human and to be humble about your people, because I've got 35 years of work underneath my belt, but I'm coaching people who are just starting out and leading people who are just starting out. So I have to come and meet them where they are. And I wouldn't get that if I didn't have a great coach to support me where I am. So I 100% agree with you, Chris. Yeah, it was a great comment.
Unfortunately, in the States, and I don't know about any other, in North American country like Canada, but in Europe, it's pretty prevalent. People accept coaching, and it's just a whole different dynamic there than it is over here. Over here, it's seen as remedial, like we've got a retarded manager, and we need to get him a coach. And I've had a couple of experiences with business owners, with their family members who tried to do exactly that, except, they had done such a poor management job setting them up that they were literally unsalvageable.
That's interesting.
So, be careful of your prejudices and things you think you understand about what makes a business successful and how you can outstrip your competition simply by doing things that they're not doing. And the only one company in 4 in the U.S. anyway is ever used a coach. So there are 75% opportunities out there for you to outstrip everybody in your industry.
Yeah, don't let your biases bite you in the rear end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I had to write that one down. Good one, Chris.
Coaching is often viewed as a cost instead of an investment. And it can be a tremendous investment in your people. Your people are your most important asset. And if you invest in them, it'll pay dividends.
It is. And we coach up. And that's part of what we talk about is we're coaching up, not out.
Yeah.
So you're coaching for greater skills. You're seeing something that's really strong in a person, then it can only get better. So you coach them up into that next level, as opposed to looking at how do we fix this person or fire them. That happens too, but
yeah. You're reminding, all of this is reminding about somebody. When I was doing my due diligence to see if I wanted to shift what I was doing and going into business coaching, I went and interviewed some executives from fairly large companies in Canada. And the feedback I got, well, you're not from Wall Street, and then what problems can you solve? And just like we're talking, right? There's much more to coaching than fixing issues and problems. We can coach and get the best out of people in business as well as personally. And what I've learned on the, not gridiron, because I never played football, but hockey, what I've learned from there is transferable to what I do with my clients in the world of business and sales and leadership. The reason I'm in Toronto right now is we just wrapped up a training program in and around leadership. And the company invests in their people, as you're saying, Sharon, to elevate them up. And as a result of doing that, they get to stop taking the beach ball and they actually give it back to the people that they're leading, and they empower their team to get more stuff done. And this company is doing extremely well because they invest in their people. Is one of the things. They have some good products and good ideas, and they are not afraid to venture forth, but they're also investing in their people. So that's one of the keys that I want to make sure we're talking about. think we're all saying the same thing, just a different recipe.
So one of the things that I give, so I have 32 mentees that I help in the world to create greatness. The 32 people that I adopt and go, I need you to build you because I need what you have in the world. And one of the things that I give to them as just a guidance point is that 2% of your gross salary should be going to reinvest in your skills. That you can't magnify on nothing. 0 times 0 is 0. So if you want to be able to magnify what you're doing, you have to give it a budget. And I'm a numbers geek, so that's how I solve things in the world. But that 2% of your gross salary, you always have to invest that every year into your own magnification. If you're putting in nothing, your magnification is 0. It's a real simple equation.
I just heard that a little while ago, only the number is slightly different, not massively. It was 3%. And the individual was Brian Tracy. He said, you need to invest 3% back into yourself.
Yeah.
Just like you're talking about. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I use 2% in a lot of different things so that's just my advice always is 2%. 2% change. You don't need much.
But it's not massive, Mickey. That's the point I'm getting at, right? It's not massive. A little thing,
No.
small incremental changes on a consistent basis make a massive difference.
Yeah.
Going back to what Sharon was talking about, how many years we go into school and we get educated, and then we leave educated formal, and we go into the workplace and we stop learning. Well, we don't because we're a different breed, but many people do. I've arrived. I don't have to learn anymore.
Right.
You're kidding yourself.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, you may.
Colin, I'm going to throw this at you because you had talked also about HR and being a boss. Did you have some HR experience before you became the leader that you are?
No, I went straight up in operations. And one of the things that when I reflect back on my career, which is mostly in transportation and logistics, was, and somebody mentioned this earlier in this call today, there's a lack of mentorship. Of all the companies I worked at, I had maybe 2 bosses that believed in mentorship. And that's kind of a shame because, and I guess what they talked to me about and coached me was to be able to do that for my people down the road. So, I'm not sure if I answered your question there, Mickey, but
Yeah, you did. But Sharon, you had HR experience?
Yes. Yeah, my whole background is HR. My undergraduate degree and my master's was in business and the human aspect of business. And I've worked in all areas of HR through the first 20 years of my career. Then I became a coach and an executive coach and a business coach, and decided I was actually working with an organization, and the CEO said, "Hey, can you just come in and help us for a little while as our virtual VP of HR?" And for the next 10 years, I consulted with a number of companies as a virtual VP. And then my current organization, SI Systems, the CEO, I had worked with him on and off for about 15 years. And he said, we need your level of strata, which is a strata way of thinking, and bring that to our HR team. And so I've been with SI Systems now for 2.5 years and really feel like I'm able to make a difference. So it's really when I can be a difference maker, that's where I go. And I have been a bit of a change agent over my career. But working in HR, I think mentoring and allowing others to mentor. So I've actually put in full mentorship programs in companies, but also within my own team, because I have a very small team. They report into me, but I have a lead in each of the functional areas, and they mentor each other. So if they don't it doesn't all come from me. It comes from them mentoring each other. They're not their manager, they're not their boss, and so they can provide really good feedback that it takes away that sense of, am I doing it right? More, the person can say, what can I do? As opposed to, am I doing it right?
Can I jump on something I heard? I only recently met you, and I was hanging out with a friend of yours, Judy, in another coaching program. And she said, Phil, you've got to get Sharon on this, that she's got to be here. And at the beginning of this, behind the scenes, you reiterated what Judy had said. Here's a chance for you to brag and boast about feedback you had from somebody who was under your charge, but no longer is.
Well, I think, yeah, thanks, Phil. I don't like to toot my own horn, but on LinkedIn last week, she was my talent attraction lead, and I was able to hire her 2 years ago during COVID when there weren't a lot of jobs. And she works in Toronto. I work in Calgary. And over the 2 years, we worked really well together, and she established our new co-op and campus program and really brought a lot of skill to the team. And she left just last week, was her last week, to go to a larger organization, to a university. And it was, she was basically able to fully utilize all the skills that she had. And her comment on LinkedIn was, to thank me as being the best boss she'd ever had. So, and for the candor and transparency and the support that I offered her. So you bring your whole self to work. And I'm getting emotional, so I better stop talking. I'm a very emotional person. But it was very humbling to have that posted, and I appreciated it.
And thanks for jumping in and let me put you on the spot. But I only known you a little bit, but I figured you'd handle it. But it's a great segue into how I think that would be a way to move forward, because we're running out of time. That's one thing I hate about this show is it ends. So same question to you guys, as an opportunity to boast, brag about some feedback that you've received over your tenure as a leader that you want to share with the world in a way that people would recognize, I do that, or I could do that. Who'd like to go next?
Well, I think my favorite part of feedback is when your mentees invite you to when they're standing on the stage. That's when I know I've done a good job, is when one of those mentees is having the largest darn fabulous thing in their life and they really want you to be there with them. That's when I know I've done a good job.
Love it.
That's amazing. Right, you're having internet problems, but don't go away. It's just delayed. It's still all good, Mickey.
Yeah. Colin, what about you?
I think the thing that I've received feedback on the most is that when I was in leadership roles, I put my whole self into it. I took a team and we lived and breathed as a team. We celebrated, we debriefed, we dealt with failures, but we did it all as a team. And I threw myself into the people aspect of it. So my people that have gone on to different jobs have told me that the thing that I did the best was rally the troops, make them feel part of the team, part of the operation. And they could see that it meant the world to me.
Chris. Same question.
Who was that directed to?
You, Chris.
Oh, I was afraid of that. Yeah, you're doing a good job when the people that you work with are the ones that spontaneously come up with a great idea for something they personalize and give to you just because they think they just like you. It's not because of anything, but it's the sum of things you do with people. Good leadership, clear goals, bringing everybody together. No search for the guilty. All of these detrimental things that business owners can think of. And when I sold my business and got out of it, I had practically everybody say, if you ever start another business, call me first. That's when you've really done it right.
Wow, that's amazing. Is that on your 100+ success list? And people who don't know what that is, let me explain what that is, because that's where I'm going. So I'm a fan of the 100+ success list. It used to be the 100 success list, but then people thought they'd stop at 100. No, it's not about that. And when I go back and look at my 100+ successes from the time I was born to where I'm at today, and I get to add some more after today, because I've evolved and I've experienced some things. It's not about building up a list of being hey, I can brag about this today, and I can brag about this. It's not about that at all. It's about building up my ability to get more stuff done, take on things that maybe I was afraid of and never thought I could take on. And this is a way to increase our efficacy, our self-efficacy, or as get stuff done muscle. And as you're talking, I was thinking about, I'm on a hockey thing today, must be hockey season. Anyway, I remember coaching elite girls hockey and taught them some things about how to visualize themselves successful. And I played around with this exercise of a lemon, and I won't do it to you today. As I'm thinking of it, I'm feeling the sharpness of a lemon. So I won't do that to you here today. But when I think back about how, when you get the feedback unsolicited from the people that you've engaged with, at least for me, telling you how their life is a little bit better or a lot better or somewhere in between, because something that you elevated, taught them, encouraged them, nudged them, supported them, that's why I do what I do. That's when I know I've done a good job. And it makes me want to get up and continue, because there's days when my self-talk is not as efficacious as I would like it to be. So I go back to the 100+ success list. I don't look at all of them. I have a top 10. When I go back and recall all those feelings that those people have shared with me, but their experiences hanging out with me or a direction I've helped them get to, that's what's most important to me. Did we do you, Mickey? Did you share yours already? You want to share some more?
We started with hers. We started with her.
I know, but you're awesome.
Mickey.
I already picked on her. How do you strike a balance between coaching, mentorship, and telling? You ever have to tell somebody something?
Wow. Colin, you want to start there?
Well, I'm thinking back to the mentor that I had and the man that taught me leadership. There was a time when we had a heart-to-heart conversation, and it was about my performance. And it was more about where I could go. And my boss at the time wanted me to get there. So it was well crafted. It was an opportunity for me to improve in an aspect of my work and my leadership, of my management. And it wasn't yelling. It wasn't harsh. It was some things to think about. So it was on a Friday, and I thought about them over the weekend. And on Monday morning, I was ready for the challenge. I felt like, okay, I can do this. And that's all he needed, because he said, I'm here to support you, and we're going to go through this together. And it had a happy ending. Like it raised the level. I raised the bar in my ability to lead people. And in my opinion, he also raised the bar of leadership for himself too, because he took me there. He helped me get there.
Wow. Sharon, what about you?
Thanks, Mickey. I was just thinking about an example, a very specific example that came up recently within my team. Because I have a dispersed team, we're all across the country. We are not in the same location. And I believe I'm very results focused as opposed to time focused. But to some extent, you must be time focused as well. And I had a member, like I do time blocking in my calendar, and I asked my team to time block. And it's a discussion first about why this is important. It helps us to manage those priorities and the big rocks in our day and weeks and months, and to put planning time in as well as the daily activity time. And one of my team members just didn't do it. She just didn't do it. And then there were times I thought, well, where is she? Like, what is she doing? And so I was curious about it. I'd like to understand a little bit more. And she was very, very resistant to time block. And even through my curiosity and me providing the why of why it was important to me, it also being important to me because we are a dispersed team, and sometimes people ask me where my people are, and I like to be able to say, oh, so and so is working on this project, or in this meeting. Eventually, I had to actually be directive and say, I'm no longer asking you. I need you to do this. This is a requirement of your job, and it was using radical candor. It's not And she said, well, I feel like you're micromanaging me. And I said, well, how do you feel that when I'm not micromanaging? I'm asking you to do something that's important to me and important to the organization. And she came around, and it was a very positive experience, but it took coaching, questioning, mentoring, and finally having to tell. So sometimes people don't get the message, and you do have to be clear about what your expectations are.
Yes, clarity is magical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helping them see the vision and the end result and the significance of it is an important thing. We can't coach everybody all the time. I know I lead with coaching. There comes a time when, as you're saying, Sharon, you have to be more direct and to the point. And what are the consequences by the actions and choices people make? And if they're okay with the consequences, so be it. Otherwise, change what you're doing.
I had a guy that gave me a great saying: if you can't change the person, change the person.
Yeah.
Phil knows
Sometimes
I have a lot of these bromides that I carry around in my hip pocket.
Yeah, Chris and I are hanging out more frequently. We're working on a project together, and I get to hear all these redneck in redneck isms. That's what I'm trying to say. They're very colorful.
Oh my gosh! How many of them do you have? Can you throw out a couple good ones for us before we leave?
Oh God, I'm actually a quoteaholic, and I've got somewhere around about I don't know, I do a newsletter for our coaching franchise, but I've got 2,307 business quotes and things about leadership, management, and business that I have collected, and they are one-line educations if you will bother to read them and think about them.
Yeah. I'm always on the lookout for quotes for Chris to see if I can give him some things he's not heard of before.
Yeah. I've got one for you. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
This is great.
But it's that time of the show where I got to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for being here. I had some amazing insights, and I didn't get to go to all of the questions I had, and that's okay, because there were some questions I didn't have that we got to that are maybe even better than the questions I was thinking of talking about. So I'm going to wrap it up and ask all of you to hang out for a minute while I wrap up the show one at a time. I wish there was a way I could do everybody at the same time. So don't take it personally when I remove you. It's not you're all important. I can't find my, this is fun working off a new situation. I almost removed myself. Again, thanks for being here. Everybody, all of you, it's been amazing. I'm going to wrap it up here with my favorite thing to do. Sure I am. Here it comes right here. Wrong side, weather guy. Wonderful. See the you in there? That represents you, because you are you and you are actually unique. So continue being your unique self. If you like this show, share it out with other people. If you know somebody would be a great guest and you want to learn from, or do you think they could help elevate somebody's life around the world? Because this goes all over the place. I don't know what the viewership is, but I know people that watch it that I've never met before chime in and make their comments. So as I say, go act like yourself, your wonderful, unique self. Until next time, I'm Coach Phil.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and